Good morning, Steve Jolly with Benchmark Realty, and welcome to the Music City Show. I want to thank you guys for tuning in this morning, as you do every Thursday around 8:30, to catch up on the real estate market in Nashville and to learn more about how you can be a better buyer or a better seller. I want to give a special shout out to all my loyal viewers who tune in every week. So let's get to business. So what we're going to be talking about today is how to protect yourself when buying a home. Now, often you'll hear cautionary tales from other buyers about problems they had with their home purchase process. And one of the most common concerns that you hear is the buyer received bad advice from their agent. And many times it's in an area where an agent has no business providing advice. Like, for example, if they give you some legal advice, or they give you tax advice, or maybe they give you an answer that would be better received from a contractor. So don't get me wrong, it's not a bad idea. It's not wrong for you to ask these type of questions. It's only wrong when an agent answers them when it's outside of their wheelhouse. So why would an agent answer a question they know they should not? Why would they do that? Well, I mean, some people just can't say no. Others want to make you happy, want to make their clients happy. Even more so, some folks don't want to look stupid in front of their clients. Their pride gets in the way. That's bad. But the worst offender, the worst of all, is the one who is desperate to make a sale, because that person may be willing to put their interest ahead of yours. To me, that's the absolute worst. So how do you protect yourself? How do you protect yourself in these situations? Well, the first thing you want to do is understand exactly what areas your agent should have expertise in them. And then if you have important questions outside of those areas, insist on bringing in an expert. So let's look at those 6 areas that I believe an agent should have expertise in when helping you buy a home. And I'll explain a little bit why. So first of all, an agent has to know the area. That they have to have. I think it's important that they've had to sell homes in that area, that they're keeping tabs on that area, they're keeping track on that area, so they can know things that aren't immediately observable to you, the buyer, or that aren't immediately obviously known to people that are looking in that area. And I'll give you an example. Let's say that you want to avoid road noise. You're looking for a quiet, peaceful place to call home. And that's fine. That's perfectly acceptable. And there's lots of places in Middle Tennessee that you can find that. But the home that you fall in love with backs up to a road. And right now it's a 2-lane country road. If you bought that home, that's great. But here's the problem. Sometimes agents know in advance, because these things are reported, they're advertised in the papers, they become news that, hey, this road is going to turn in from a 2-lane road to a 4-lane road. The amount of traffic is going to increase on it. There's going to be construction along this way for 2 years. Now, suddenly, that home that you fell in love with isn't quite the quiet, peaceful place that you thought it was going to be. And there'd be no way for you to know if you didn't have somebody that knew the area, that could warn you in advance, that knew what was important to you and was sharing that information with you. So that's important. They know the area. 2, they've got to be adept at finding homes and not just using the MLS. The MLS is great. There's a lot of homes in there. But right now, we have a low inventory situation. There are a lot fewer homes than what the public wants to purchase. And so not all of them make it to the MLS, or if they do, they don't last there that long. So your agent has to be able to find homes through their networking, through talking with other agents. There are several different ways they can find property outside the MLS, and they need to be doing that for you, especially if there's not much property available for you. Number 3, they've got to be able to determine a fair price to pay. Some of the advice I hear from that buyers get from other agents is that you have to write an offer at list price, or you have to write an offer over list price. But Are they even checking to see if that is a fair price? The list price is fair to begin with. Is it exaggerated? Are they trying to get more for the property to take advantage of the situation we're in right now? Those are all good questions. So before you write that offer on the home, you need to know if it's a fair price, especially if you're going to write a full price offer. So just saying that you've got to write a full price offer isn't good enough. They've got to show you comps. They've got to show you data. They've got to prove to you that this is a fair price to pay for the home. And they need to do it quickly enough to get an offer in before somebody else snatches it up. That's important. Number 3, they have to have a negotiation strategy for at least 3 different areas. 1, how to negotiate your offer. That's important. That's what gets your foot in the door. Number 2, this is a place where a lot of homes fall out of contract, is the repair. That's another opportunity for negotiation, because there's going to be things that come up in the inspection report that you weren't aware of, that you may not like, that may cost you money in the future, and you've got to find your way around that to work with the seller to get past that obstacle. The last one is appraisal, and there's a lot of homes that are falling through for low appraisals right now. So you've got to be able to negotiate that process, and that goes back to paying a fair price to pay to begin with. If you're paying a fair price, more than likely that home is going to appraise. And if it doesn't, they've got to be able to negotiate that process with the seller and with your lender to make it happen. Number 5, navigating the paperwork. Folks, this ain't Mad Libs. We're not just here filling in the blanks, and you need to understand at least the basics of what each section of the contract means. So somebody should take the time to sit down and explain it to you. And then if you have further questions, they need to be able to put you in touch with a real estate attorney that can give you advice, that can answer your concerns. And that goes to number 6, which is the network of vendors. So when you have questions that are outside of your agent's wheelhouse, they need to bring in somebody that's trusted. And a lot of these vendors are super busy right now. So unless they have some sort of relationship with them, it's going to be tough to get somebody to act quickly. So your agent really needs to have a network of vendors that can come in at a moment's notice to give you advice, to look at a situation, be able to answer your questions. So those are the 6 key areas. So when you are looking for a good agent, keep all of those in mind. That'll help to make sure that you are doing your job as a buyer and you're getting exactly what you want. Well, let me give you an example of why I think this is important. Let's say that you have a home under contract, you're doing the inspection, and during that process, you find out that the HVAC unit is 10 years old. And you want to know what the life expectancy of that unit is. Well, it's not wrong for your agent to give you his past experience on what he's seen, but he should also be offering to bring in an HVAC technician to take a look at that unit, to give you, to tell you how well it's been maintained, what does it look like, if it's been repaired in the past. All those things are important to the life expectancy of a piece of mechanical equipment. So you need to make sure you get the answers from the expert and not from your agent. All right, does that sound good? And if you need an expert, or if you have questions, you can always, an expert in real estate, you can always feel free to text or call me at 615-257-9996. Now let's take a quick look at the market update for this week. So sales are still continuing their trend, although they should be starting to turn this time of year. But that's still a sign we have strong demand out there in the market. So they're up 18.4% over last year. So year to year, we're looking very strong. Let's look at the short term. Over the last month, you're starting to see the sales taper off. This trend line is a little bit exaggerated because September 7th, that week was the week of Labor Day, and we lost about 20% of our opportunity to close sales that week. So that trend line is artificially lower than it should be. It's probably closer to flat or slightly declining, which we should be expecting this time of year. New listings are down 9.0% from last year, which is a little concerning because this is really our bottleneck in the real estate market. This is the holdup. This is what's preventing more sales from happening. So we're down 9% from last year, and we'll also take a look at the short term. The short term is a slight decline, which we should be expecting this time of year. So if new listings continue to trail off, that's going to signal the end of the buying season. Well, it's not. It's not too late to list your home this year, and here's why. Because there's still tons of strong demand out there. So showings are up 14.7% over where they were last year. So there's still a lot of people out there looking at homes, and more importantly, there's still a lot of people out there. There's still a lot of people out there putting homes under contract. So 13.4 or 34.9%. We're up over last year of homes going under contract this past week. About 1,000 homes a week go under contract. So that is really strong, especially for September and the time of year when they should be trending down. Now let's look at that short-term trend, and we'll see it's relatively flat. So there's still a huge demand for buyers out there, and those buyers are taking action, which is really important to know if you're considering listing your home. At this time of year, you might be considering, well, maybe I should wait until the springtime to list your home. I would say if you want to sell now, it's probably best to put your home on the market now. We don't know what it's going to look like in the springtime. We know the interest rates are low right now. We know there's a lot of buyers out there looking. We know there's a lot of buyers out there taking action. So keep that in mind if you're considering putting your home on the market. So take a look at the other indicators. Over the last 4 weeks, the median sales price has creeped up a little bit, 340,467. This is probably close to our peak for the year. We were a little bit higher a couple of weeks ago, but this is a 4-week average or 4-week median, so keep that in mind. And the total days on the market, that's the days from the day that you list a property to the day it closes, has dropped 1 day to 83. It was 84 last week. So there's indication there's still strong demand because both these median prices and days on market are holding true. So if you enjoy data and statistics and you want to see, we're looking at the greater Nashville area, but if you want to see what's happening in your neighborhood, in your neck of the woods, here is what you can do. You can go to musiccityshow.com and you can see my data dashboard for Nashville. You can break it down into any time period over the last year, almost the last year and a half now. You can also break it down by county, by city, by zip code, and see what's happening in your area. It's real important to know what's going on, and this is the best way to keep an eye on it. No one else is giving you this data. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible to give you information that you're not going to get from anywhere else, so you can make the best decision for yourself and your family. Coming up next week on the Music City Show, we've wrapped up our series on buyers this week. So next week we're going to take a look ahead. And then we're also going to look back at the third quarter and see where we've been, see how COVID affected us, see how we rebounded, and then maybe get a glimpse of what it's going to look like next year. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. I really appreciate all our loyal viewers who tune in every Thursday. Take care, peace, and love, y'all.